What is up, YouTube? Welcome to today's stream. Today I'm continuing on with flexibility talk. I've been talking about the flexibility blueprint. We've recently completely rewritten it to be an extremely valuable guide to developing flexibility. And on Monday this week, I went through the mechanism of flexibility. And then yesterday I went through the difference between mobility and flexibility. And today I'm going to be breaking down atomic workout habits. And it's a timely moment to do this because I just got a comment on one of our YouTube videos, I think one of the live streams, when I checked in this morning. And this is, thanks for a deep dive into the distinction of mobility versus flexibility. Despite having engaged in your Unity programs on and off over the years, I still lose track, lose focus, and sometimes mush the two together, which doesn't help. Oddly, it seems the main thing I need to be more consistent about is consistency. So that's a very timely moment to have that comment come up because it's what this is all about. So a quick recap. I went through the mechanism of flexibility on the first stream, and I talked about how, you know, flexibility as a child, getting flexible as a child is very, very different than getting flexible as an adult, because when you're young, all of your connective tissue, your muscle fibers, your nervous system, everything is very pliable. It's like soft clay that's very easy to mold. Whereas when we're adults, we're not built for that growth. We're built for strength and stability. And so everything sort of tightens up, and it's like you're trying to, mold something out of hard clay. I also talked about how the mechanism of flexibility is something that happens within the nervous system largely. So we need to come at it with more creative approaches than just sort of sitting and stretching. And we talked about how some of our members like Lachlan was able to unlock incredible levels of flexibility despite having come with us with herniated discs and really bad back pains. And then I introduced what flexibility training looks like with end range contractions and loaded stretching. So there's some end range contractions for the glutes there that hack the nervous system. And then when you pair them with loaded stretching like this, you get incredible results versus just sitting and holding a stretch, which really doesn't do that much for us adults. And then we went into the difference between, we went into a whole bunch of different concepts around flexibility training, periodization, flexibility training and recovery. Then we talked about mobility versus flexibility training and how mobility is an umbrella term for anything that takes your joints through full range of motion, whereas flexibility is a series of different methods and techniques that are designed to increase mobility. Mobility training is very gentle. It's the kind of thing where when you do a mobility session, it always leaves you feeling better than when you started, whereas flexibility training is very intense, and flexibility training leaves you feeling fatigued. You need to recover from a good flexibility training session. And so, and then I talked about my story, and that's a picture of my horrible spondylolisthesis and spondylosis there, and how I've been able to overcome crippling back pain with good flexibility and strength training. And then we talked through some real world application tips for mobility and flexibility. And now we're going into building atomic workout habits, because this is without it, like as that YouTube comment just highlighted, you can have all the best techniques and the best methods in the world, but if you're not doing it and you're not doing it regularly, you're not going to see results. So this is really important. It might seem like you might be looking at this topic and going, oh yeah, sure, build a habit. But I'm going to talk you through how you do that, how you actually go from this place where your flexibility training is really sporadic and you're not getting anything done, to a place where you're getting incredible momentum with your training and getting workouts done. Hey Marin, thanks for saying hi. Anybody that's watching live, please say hello. Tell me where you're watching in the world, and let me know how the 4K streaming is going. I've been experimenting with 4K streaming yesterday and today, and yesterday it seemed to go good. So if this is, if you're not seeing any lag or anything like that, then yay, that means that my internet connection can support 4K streaming, and I will stream in 4K from now on. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified when I go live and when I upload videos. All right, here we go, building atomic workout habits. The key to lasting success isn't about long, intense flexibility workouts. It's about creating small, consistent habits that are easy to stick to. Atomic habits, small, daily routines are the foundation of meaningful progress. Starting small helps you build momentum that eventually leads to bigger results. One of the best ways to establish this is with a 20-minute mobility routine. Many people begin their flexibility journey with big goals and ambitious plans. They schedule long, intense workouts thinking that this will help them see faster results. However, when life gets busy, these long sessions are the first to be skipped. Missing one workout can quickly turn into missing a week, and before long, you've lost all your momentum. The issue is that when a habit isn't yet fully formed, long workouts feel overwhelming. They're easy to skip because they require significant time and energy. Instead, focus on building atomic habits, small, manageable routines that are so easy it feels unreasonable to skip them. A 20-minute daily mobility routine is much more sustainable than a 60 to 90-minute session. And once you build the habit of doing a 20-minute routine each day, it becomes part of your identity. You'll start to see progress which reinforces your motivation and keeps you going. Over time, these small routines naturally grow into longer sessions, and flexibility training becomes integrated into your daily life. How Niall achieved the middle splits. Niall is a great example of how building atomic habits can transform your flexibility. When Niall first came to us, he had never been flexible and didn't know how to stretch effectively. He committed to doing a simple 20-minute mobility routine every day, nothing more. That small daily routine built consistency and laid the foundation for his progress. Over time, as his range improved, he transitioned into more advanced flexibility, and within months, Niall achieved the middle split, something he never thought possible. His success was built on starting small and staying consistent, and if you have a look at those middle splits, that's the real deal. He is not doing a semi-middle split there, like, having your feet flat on the ground, toes facing forward in an active middle splits, inches off the ground is full control in that position. And Niall was a real beginner when he started with us. I mean, he was as beginner can be. I don't think he'd ever really even worked out in a gym before. So here's some real world application tips for building atomic habits. Start with a 20-minute mobility routine. Don't aim for long, intense flexibility sessions right away. Commit to a single 20-minute mobility routine every day. This routine should include foam rolling to address fascial tightness, followed by full body mobility exercises like shoulder rolls, hip circles, and deep squats, ensuring each joint moves through its full range of motion. The key is to make this routine so easy and achievable that skipping it feels unreasonable. Whether you're just waking up or cooling down after a workout, these simple movements will lay the groundwork for deeper flexibility later on. Be consistent, not perfect. When it comes to flexibility training, consistency outweighs intensity. Committing to your 20-minute mobility routine every day is far more effective than occasional intense stretching sessions. As your body adapts to this daily routine, you'll build a strong foundation for more advanced flexibility training. Once you've built this habit, you'll naturally progress to longer flexibility sessions. Consistency keeps the momentum alive and ensures you make steady progress, avoiding the risk of injury or burnout from pushing too hard on irregular, intense sessions. And before I continue, let me know in the comments section what struggles you are facing with your flexibility training. What do you feel is stopping you from getting more flexible? And I'll see if I can help you out. Okay, moving on. Celebrate small wins. Track your progress and celebrate the small victories. Whether it's a slight increase in range of motion or simply maintaining your routine for a week straight, acknowledging these wins is crucial. Celebrating small milestones keeps you motivated and reinforces the habit. As you build momentum, these small successes will compound, contributing to long-term improvements in both flexibility and strength. Be flexible with your routine. Excuse the pun. I created the 20-minute mobility routine for my tribe at Unity Gym that's carefully broken into 3 distinct sections: foam rolling followed by upper body and lower body drills. This structure works well because you can be flexible with the time you have. If you're short on time, focus on completing one section, whether it's just foam rolling or the lower body drills. The idea is to keep your atomic habit alive, even if you only have 5 or 10 minutes to spare. Over time, this flexibility in your approach helps build consistency, keeping your momentum strong and preventing the feeling of failure when life gets in the way. Adjust and adapt as you progress. As you improve, your routine should adapt with you. Once mobility becomes easier, gradually introduce more advanced flexibility work like end range strength or loaded stretches into your sessions. The beauty of flexibility training is that it evolves. What was once challenging will become second nature, and you'll be able to progressively overload your flexibility training as you gain strength and range. Keep your routine dynamic to meet your evolving goals, ensuring long-term success without hitting plateaus. By building atomic workout habits, you make flexibility training part of your daily routine. Over time, these small habits will grow into something bigger and you'll see significant progress. And guys, you should, if you haven't done so yet, go and grab the Flexibility Blueprint. It's free. So if you go to unitygym.com/flexibility, you can download this and read through it and watch the videos at your own pace. But these workout habits, these atomic workout habits, if you've read that book, Atomic Habits, of course, you'd know that's where I'm getting this concept of atomic habits from. But it's something that we had developed by basically, I mean, Yanni and I, over the past 10 to 15 years, trying to get flexible as adults, actually 10 years, we were like bashing a square peg into a round hole and just trying to see what fit, And it was on looking back that we were able to go, wow, that's what got us to that next level. And so we stumbled across this concept. And it was when we both read the book Atomic Habits, which we're both reading right now or have just finished recently, that it really reinforced what we'd already done, the groundwork that we've done and the systems that we'd put in place, which is why we're using that concept, because the concept is really, really good. And if you haven't read that book, go and check it out. It's an incredible book. So Marin's saying, no lag, I'm watching it on a tablet, so I can't tell the difference. Oh, that's awesome. But you can't tell if it's 4K, yeah. Atomic, so Marin, did I understand your question now? Sorry, did I understand? Did I answer your question? What do you mean by atomic? Atomic meaning micro. Atomic meaning these tiny habits. The author of Atomic Habits, he goes through this example at the start of the book where he talks about the British cycling team, and he talks about how whenever it was in the 80s or it's some period where the British cycling team was so bad, they would consistently come last in everything that they did. They were just underperforming every other country. They were a joke. And they were so bad that apparently some of the leading bicycle companies wouldn't allow the British cycling team, or tried to prevent the British cycling team from being able to use their bikes because they didn't want to be associated with them. They were that bad. And they got this new coach. And what he did was, he looked at all of these tiny little things that he could look at improving, things that would maybe improve their performance by 1%. Like it was, I can't remember specifics, but they were these tiniest little things. Like maybe one of them was changing the seat so it would be, the tiniest little bit more comfortable or something like that, like something really minuscule. And there were all these little habits that were changed. And after about a year or two of doing this, the British team became the best in the world, and they entered a period which apparently in cycling is really well known, where the British racing team just dominated every single event. They dominated the Olympics, they dominated every event for like a 5 or 7 year period or something like that. And it was all because of these atomic habits, these tiny little things that when you look at them as an isolated habit, it would seem so insignificant, but when you look at how they all add up in a whole, it makes a huge improvement. And so, of course, in the book, he's not talking about flexibility training. There's parts of it that he talks about with health and fitness, but he's basically talking about how you can change your life and how you can make significant change in your life. And he has an incredible story himself of what he went through, but it's all about building atomic habits. It's his whole approach is that it's not about looking at what these huge grand changes that you can do or these massive habit changes that you can make, but it's rather about all these tiny little atomic habits. And he uses the word atomic because atomic obviously has the the symbolic association with the atomic bomb, something that on one hand, an atom is so tiny, but when we think about an atomic bomb, we just think of this huge devastating force. And so that's what atomic habits are. Does that answer your question? And you're saying here you've been doing the 20-minute mobility routine almost every day since the beginning of the 75 hard with the hamstring exercise. My hands are now only 10 centimeters off the ground, but now the progress stopped. Yeah, look, what can you do to get further? This is where if you didn't listen to yesterday or Monday's session, this is where I talk about where flexibility training comes in. Because what happens is what I would suggest, the first thing that I would do when your progress stops with the 20-minute mobility routine in a certain area where you want to see more progress, is I would get a more aggressive rumble roller. So instead of a foam roller, use a more aggressive rumble roller, because I found that very quickly a foam roller wasn't enough to actually really get in there and give me a good massage, a good self-massage. Foam rolling when you start is really uncomfortable, but pretty quickly it becomes pretty comfortable and pretty manageable. And so you want to level that up. And so I got a rumble roller, which is one of those, I'll go and grab it here. So that's my rumble roller. And so it just gets in way more than a foam roller does. And you'll find that will level you up itself, because it takes you back to that place where foam rolling is this kind of feeling like that. And then beyond that, you keep doing the mobility routine daily, and you keep just greasing the groove and just getting those joints moving. And then beyond that, if you want more tangible results in one area, that's when we start doing flexibility training for that. So I can help you within the app to put together some end range contractions and loaded stretching that you can do for your hamstrings if that's the area that you want to see significant improvement. And it's a really good idea. This is actually one of the things that I should actually talk about this here as well. I'll read this last little bit of advice that I've got in the Flexibility Blueprint here. So my last piece of advice, this is from the Flexibility Blueprint. Instead of stretching your muscles, reframe your mindset to work towards unlocking advanced movement skills like the middle splits. To stay motivated and see real progress, I've found it's better to focus unlocking real world skills rather than isolating stretches. Zoning in on the middle splits as opposed to just stretching your adductors and hamstrings not only provides structure to your training and a clear vision of success, but also allows you to see tangible benchmark improvements as you progress. Just like training for a half marathon inspires you to run more, aiming to unlock the middle splits provides you with a clear, tangible goal that fuels your transformation. With every bit of progress, you'll feel a surge of accomplishment, which pushes you to stretch more consistently and stay on track. The clarity of working towards a specific movement like the middle splits keeps you focused and excited about your flexibility journey, making it easier to stay committed and enjoy the process. I chose the middle splits for this example because it has real world benefits. Whether you want devastatingly powerful high kicks for martial arts, are aiming to nail a calisthenics press handstand, or want to squat deeper and heavier in CrossFit, mastering the middle splits will enhance your performance. It strengthens your hips, improves your range of motion, and helps you build stronger, more controlled movement patterns across all your activities. Plus, let's be honest, achieving the middle splits is a seriously Instagram-worthy feat, the kind of flexibility goal that turns heads and earns you some serious bragging rights. It's not just functional, it's a badge of flexibility mastery that looks as impressive as it feels. Now, that said, the wanting to bend forward and touch your toes is in a flexibility movement. It's what you call a pike. So it's either a seated pike or a standing pike. And a pike position, like being able to fold right forward, is a really, really functional and beneficial position to be able to do. Not just for things like calisthenics and gymnastics, but for general movement, because having a really strong pike will allow you to squat deeper, because restrictions in hamstring flexibility is a major reason why people can't squat deeper. It's one of the reasons why people get butt wink when they go lower. So for you, Maren, it would be really, really beneficial for you to have that as your number one goal. Like if that is your prime focus, then we can build a routine around that. So you let me know, and I can do that for you inside the Unity Gym coaching app. So I'll build a flexibility workout that you can do specifically for the hamstrings to add on top of what you're doing. And we can do that a couple of times a week. And we can do that in as little as we can just add 10 minutes maybe 15 minutes to your training a couple of days a week, and you'll see significant improvements in hamstring flexibility. And because once you develop flexibility, if you keep doing mobility training daily, it's very, very hard to lose the flexibility that you worked for. So you have to work hard to develop a level of flexibility that you've never had when we're talking about the upper levels. So when you're talking about something like the middle splits, like what I'm doing here, I had to put in some dedicated work and effort to achieve the middle splits. But once I got it, I do very little middle splits training anymore, and I can still do it. And the reason I can still do it is because of the atomic habit that I've created of doing the 20-minute mobility routine daily. And I don't even do the full 20-minute routine daily. Many days, all I do is the 6 or 7 minutes of foam rolling, because it's just, I won't feel like my body needs it. But once you've worked to achieve a level of flexibility, it's like, it takes 10% of the effort that it took you to get there to maintain it. Like, it's a fraction of the amount of work. And so the reason why that's relevant is because you don't need to approach your flexibility in a way of, I need to do everything at once. I need to be doing the middle splits and the front splits and hamstrings and back bridge and shoulders. You don't need to do it like that. You can approach it from a way of, I'm going to do a 20-minute mobility routine daily, so that everything that I'm working on is getting a little bit better and I'm not going backwards in anything. And then you can really zone in on just one movement or two movements if you wanted to. And then you can achieve a certain standard with those movements, and then you can shift your focus to other movements. And that's a really, really beneficial way to do that. So that's what I would recommend for you. Alan Davidson is saying, hi again, back for more inspiration from Sweden. Awesome, Alan. And he's saying, you have problems committing to the routine when life has so many priorities to balance. Getting to high kicks surely would give me a kick and bring better commitment. Chicken and egg problem. Should I try to implement the flexibility blueprint or the high kick blueprint, or both? Look, man, at the end of the day, I would be, the most important thing for you to be doing is building a habit. And so when you're looking at building a habit, the most important thing, as I've just outlined, is to make the barrier of entry as low as possible. So whatever is the most important thing for you, whatever you would feel the most motivated by if you achieved, that would be the minimum workout that you would do every day. Now, if it was me, if I went back and had my time again, I would be committing to, I would do it exactly the way that I did it. I would commit to the 20-minute mobility routine daily, because the 20-minute mobility routine it doesn't just prepare you for high kicking. It just keeps your body in a really limber state. And what I would be looking at doing as well, Alan, is I would, at the moment, be looking less at what you can do and more at what you can stop doing. Because often what we need to do, the thing that we need to do the most is less. And I know that that's a really, like, people say, oh, less is more, but let me talk you through what that means. We look at our lives, and you look at everything that you're doing in your life, and what can you remove to create the space to be able to do things. And my personal experience with this, I went from 10 years ago where I wasn't a father and I just met my wife, and we've been together, we're about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, and I had real freedom over my life. She was very, very busy with her music career. She's a musician. She was performing all the time. So we weren't in each other's pockets. We were, I had my life and she had her life. And I really enjoyed that freedom. I had, I would consider myself a gamer back then. I used to play video games, and I used to spend time with friends on the weekend. I was very dedicated to my training. I worked long hours. And I also loved watching movies. I really love sitting down and relaxing at the end of the day and watching a movie or watching a good TV series or something like that. And when we had our child, Keanu, for the first time in my life, I was under a lot of stress because I just couldn't, besides the stress of not sleeping properly and everything that comes with being a new parent, all of a sudden, I didn't have the time for the things that I wanted to be able to do. And it was causing major friction in my relationship, which was causing major friction in my life. And I had to, for several months, I pushed against it, maybe even for a year, and it was just friction, until eventually I had to take a look at everything that I did in a day and in a week. And the way that you do this is you write everything down on a piece of paper, and I mean everything. Like, you write down the chores that you do, you write down the time that you spend sitting on your butt, looking outside, thinking and pondering. You write down the time that you spend sitting on the couch watching a TV series, and you write down what that TV series is, or what that movie was that you saw, or, for me, the time that I spend playing video games on the weekend, the time that you spend training, when you train, the time that you spend working, the time that you spend with you, like absolutely everything that you do. And then I had to look at it and think, okay, well, there's too much in my life right now. I can't fit all of this in my life. That's like the idea of, Einstein nailed it on the head. The idea of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. It's not going to change. So you have to look at what you're doing over and over again and say, how can I change this? And for me, the solution was really obvious. It was staring me in the face. The thing that I had to look at removing, it was either I tell my wife, no, I don't have time for you anymore. We all know how that would go over a long enough period of time. Or it was that I say to my brother, who's my business partner, I say, okay, I've got to work less hours. I'm going to do 3 hours less a day. Or I had to look at the thing, my training, and say, okay, I can't train this much. I'm going to train, half as much as what I do. Or I had to look at playing video games and watching movies. And it was, when you come from your higher self, it was really obvious, the thing that I didn't have the time for anymore. And I had to stop doing the things that for my entire life, that was the thing that I used to relax and wind down and to spend my leisure time. That was my enjoyment, was playing video games on the weekend with my buddies or watching movies. And it was a really, really hard thing to do. It was a really hard decision. For years, I was really upset that I wasn't able to enjoy those activities that I'd always enjoyed. But what it did was it created the space in my life. And it's not just about having the space in your schedule, which is vital, and I'll talk you through that in just a moment. It's not just about having that space in your schedule. It's also about having the space in your head. Because what I find, one of the biggest things that gets in the way of me doing the things that I want to do, that I want to move forward with, is it's head trash. Like, I'll get to the point where I've actually have the time to do the thing that I want to be able to do. So I'll get to that point. And when the time's allocated and I'm doing it, my head is just tripping out over all of the other things that I have to do. And it's really, really hard to switch that off. And the only way that I've been able to do the, to achieve the results that I want to achieve with my training, with my flexibility and with my strength training, is that I've had to be able to create more space in my head. And the only way to create more space in your head is to really do less and to zone in and prioritize on the things that you want. And I'm going so deep into this because it has been one of the most profoundly powerful experiences for me to do, and it's something that I have to revisit regularly. But if I didn't do it, I just wouldn't be anywhere with my training and with what I'm doing. And I live a quite a unique life compared to the average person, because this is my office. I don't see anybody in a working day. My wife works for herself as well, so we see each other during the day, which is nice for me. But she works upstairs in our home. She's got her office up there. And I do a class twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday. And I really do that just so that I can have some social interaction. A bunch of the locals here want me to teach them how to get strong and flexible. And so I go down to the park and teach them twice a week. But besides that, I'm here by myself. And so it's, despite the fact that I'm what other people would describe as a highly disciplined and motivated person, it's very, very hard to motivate myself to get up and work out when where I work out is right where I sit and do, my work during the day, and I've got a little gym outside there where you may have seen in some of my videos, filming myself do some stuff. But I don't have anybody here to work out with. I don't have anybody to motivate me. There's always a pull for me to go and do housework that needs to be done, or there's always a pull for me to do more work on the business, because there's always something that needs to be done. And so the only way I've been able to stay consistent with my training is to create that space in my head, to remove more from my plate so that there's less that I'm trying to get done in a week. And then also the other really, really powerful thing is to time block your schedule. So if you look at my calendar, everything is time blocked, where I do things. So, I have my training sessions time blocked. I have the times that I'm working on priority tasks time blocked. I have my family time blocked. And now that I use time blocking, when I see people that are getting frustrated that they're not getting things done, and they're not time blocking their time, that makes me kind of just think, how would you expect to get anything done if you don't have a time blocked schedule, so that you can look at your schedule and go, okay, well, this is the time that's dedicated to this and this is the time that's dedicated to that. I just don't see how you would ever expect to get anything done. So that's what I recommend, and I hope that helps. Ashish is saying, sir, I miss your daily workout content. That's nice, Ashish. I appreciate that. I had to make a decision with that, though, because the editing and the uploading was just killing me. It was so much work, and I still do my workouts every day. I still do 2 workouts every day, but it was causing me it was adding stress to my life, as we're talking about here, because I have to coach our tribe like Marin. I have to provide coaching to them every day. So every day I spend several hours in the Unity Gym app giving people one-on-one personal coaching. I have to onboard our new members when they come on board, and I have to work with my brother to push projects forward, and I had to look at what kind of content and what kind of things was producing the best result. And as much as you loved it, it wasn't getting a good result on our channel, and it wasn't giving us it wasn't worth the time that I was putting into it. And it was making my workouts take considerably longer than they normally would, because I had to constantly move the camera and set up the shot and everything, because I don't have a videographer here. It was just me doing it. So I'm sorry that you enjoyed it, man. I would still be doing it if it was getting more views, if people were really enjoying it. But I think people are getting more out of me doing these live streams and things like that. There's better questions that are coming through, and I think I'm adding better value to people's lives in this format. Bean Wright is saying, you're really speaking to what I've been doing through lately, for what I've been going through lately. Very much identify with what you've been talking about. Yeah, man, I'm really happy to hear that. I'm really happy to hear that my message is resonating with you, because it is a I think it's something that so many of us adults go through. It's a real transition from being a young adult into being, from being a teenager to being a young adult to being, into your middle age. I'm 46 now, so it's when I look at what's going on in my life now, when I look at what my priorities are now, versus what things used to be, it's such a change, and it's something that we have to be. I think a major problem that I see with people is that life happens to them, not for them. They're not being really deliberate about directing their life in the way that they want it to go. And when you're not directing your life in the way that you want it to go, like when you're not sitting at the helm, then life is just kind of taking you where it goes. It's not, it's not something that you're deliberately, creating for yourself. And I don't want that. I don't want my life to go in that direction, because that's what happened in my 20s. And I got nowhere. Like when I got to 30, I just hadn't achieved anything that I wanted to achieve in that decade. And so that's when I started to really apply myself to this deliberate creation of the life that you want. And it takes time. But one of the things that we Panther Black has given me a $5 donation. Thank you so much. What a wonderful thing for you to do. And he's saying, appreciate your honesty. Father of 3-year-old, business owner, work from home with a wife like you. Schedule and prioritization is tough. Buy games. Yeah, it sure is. It really is. Thank you so much for the support. But all this stuff that I'm talking about here it's not the kind of thing that just happens like that. It's not the kind of thing that you just go from wherever you are to having it all set the way that I'm doing it. And there's people that I look up to that make me look like I've got a lot of work to do with the way that I live my life and the way that I get things done. It's this set of stepping stones, but that's what this concept of atomic habits is all about. It's this idea of looking for these small habits that you can really stick to and that would feel, and if we talk specifically again about the 20-minute mobility routine, it's like this idea of having a minimum workout where it seems unreasonable to not do it. Like no matter how busy you are, it seems unreasonable to not say, oh man, I've got 10 minutes. I'm just going to get up and do this. But the idea of having to get up, get your gym gear ready, go to the gym and do an hour or a 90-minute workout, that is really, really easy for you to look at the clock when it's time for you to leave in 15 minutes and you realize how busy you are and just go, oh man, that's just way too much for me today. I can't do it. And so it's about removing this barrier of entry and creating something that would be so unreasonable to not do that you just get up there and you do it. And yeah, these strategies have worked really well for me and for my brother. We've gone through all of the ups and downs that anybody goes through that has a young child that has that runs their own business. You don't even have to have any of those. I would say definitely if you have children and you've got a mortgage and you've got a career and you've got a relationship, like there's just so much to juggle compared to when life was simpler and maybe you weren't climbing the ladder of your career just yet. Maybe you didn't have a mortgage yet. Maybe you were in the earlier phases of your relationship where it's this honeymoon period and you can just throw everything, into the wind and just go, I'm going to just do whatever I want with my partner whenever I want. And it's just, it just changes so much, doesn't it, so quickly. And it seems to happen like that, doesn't it? Like when I look at myself now being 46 and, I turn 47 next year, and I think I'm closer to 50 now than I am to 40. And you think of how quickly that went by. Like, where did that time go? And then, you start thinking to yourself as well, maybe I've got, less years left to live than what I've already lived. And for me, that's not a scary thought, but it's definitely something that makes me ponder what I do with my time anymore. And for me, that's the reason why I don't drink alcohol anymore. And it's certainly the reason why I stopped taking drugs many, many years ago. Because I just think of, I know in my life what that gives me. And people, I don't know what it's like for you guys wherever you are in the world, over in the States or over in Europe, but when you go to a social event in Australia and people offer you an alcoholic beverage and you say no, it's becoming more accepted now, but people usually question why. They ask you why you're not drinking. It's like the one drug where you have to justify why you're not doing it, It's really funny. I read something, I remember somebody talking about this and saying, imagine you went to a party and somebody offered you some cocaine and you said no. And everybody looked at you and asked you, well, why? Why don't you want to do any cocaine? There's no other drug in the world where you have to justify why you wouldn't want to do it. On the contrary, people are usually hiding that they are doing it. And but with alcohol, when you say no, I don't want to drink, you have to explain yourself as to why you're not drinking. But for me, when I look at I know what life offers me when every spare minute that I've got outside of work and commitments is devoted to, in a way, almost hedonism, where it's devoted to sitting on the couch, having a beer and just doing something that makes you feel good in the moment. And, alcohol and drugs and binging Netflix and watching movies and things, they're all short-term relief. It's an immediate dopamine hit. It's this feeling of, if you're stressed he goes through all of this in Atomic Habits. If you've had a stressful day, or if you've had a hard moment, and you think of Netflix, or you think of, cracking a drink, or you think of opening the Tim Tams or opening the ice cream, it's because you associate that with a dopamine hit, and you associate that with the feeling that it gives you when you get it. And so you crave that. And that's what that habit loop is. But I know what that offers me. I've been there for long enough. I've spent enough of my life where that's what I've done with any time that I've got off work, that I know that the only thing it ever gives you is satisfaction in that moment. And that's, for me, not what I want in my life anymore. As I get older and as I approach my 50s, what I want is results in certain areas. Like, I've learned that for me, I'm not happy, I'm not settled, I'm not content with not being the best that I can be. And I used to, when I was in my 20s, I used to want to be the best, not just the best I could be. I used to want to be the best. But I abused myself in my 20s with drugs and alcohol, and I didn't get close to being the best. But I definitely did get something positive out of it, which was that I stayed committed to my Kung Fu training, and I still learned discipline, and I learned things that I've been able to carry through to what I do now. And then when I got into my 30s, and I went through this whole process of thinking, because I realized how hard it was, especially because I'd been in the army for 4 years, and I got out and my body was in a shit state. I was in a lot of pain. My flexibility was at an all-time low. My back was really hurting. All my joints were hurting. And the road ahead to get to where I am even now, it was a long road. I was looking ahead at it and thinking of how much work I was going to have to do if I wanted to get flexible, and if I wanted to get strong, and if I wanted to learn calisthenics. And I was questioning whether I had it in me. I was questioning whether I just wanted to maybe just accept that my best years were behind me. And, maybe I'm a trainer. I know a lot. I can teach people how to do things. And I looked around, because that's pretty much what every trainer in their 40s and 50s is. They've got a lot of good stories and a lot of pictures of when they were in their heyday. But, in their current state, they're not anywhere near their peak. And I pondered that concept for about a month, and it made me feel sick in my stomach. For me, I'm a high achiever, and the idea of settling for being somebody when my best years were behind me, where I was, I just had a whole bunch of stories, but, and pictures and videos to show what I could do. But in my current state of being, I was certainly not my best, and that wasn't good enough for me. And so what I decided was that I wanted to continue to achieve new heights. So personal bests, things that I hadn't been able to achieve before. I'm not concerned about whether I can compete with others, because the truth is, physically, there's people that are 20 years younger than me that are already so much better, so much more accomplished, that can do more than what I can currently do. But they've never gotten to age 46 and been able to maintain it. So they're playing the short game. And the thing is, it's funny, because all of us that are, if you're my age, or even if you're 10 years younger than me, we didn't have YouTube and didn't have content like this when I was younger. I couldn't even get access to the right information. So it was just, I just couldn't find the information out there to learn how to do this stuff. Panther Black's given me another donation. Thank you so much, mate. That's incredible of you. He's saying, amazing shares today. Coffee on me. Relate to a lot of what you're sharing. Also, you're a member of your 28-day slap tear program, slowly improving. You're speaking from the heart. Amazing speaker. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much that means to me. It's so cool to see that what I'm saying is resonating with you. And if I knew your real name, I'd be able to give you a shout out, because obviously I'm coaching you in the app, but you're going by a YouTube alias. And so, yeah, so when I look at the idea of being the best versus being the best that I can be, for me, I just want to be the best that I can be. And when that is the benchmark, and when you build your life around atomic habits, this is another concept that's really powerful. It's this idea of being goal focused versus being process focused. And I used to be goal focused, and the problem with goals are you either achieve them or you don't achieve them, and achieving them or not achieving them is just as bad a thing, because if you achieve a goal, you have no reason to train anymore, and if you don't achieve a goal, you feel like a failure. And I have seen this so many times with people that train for a marathon, and people, they put everything into training for a marathon, and their goal is to run the marathon, and as soon as the marathon is over, they stop running and they stop training, and they just lose all their health and fitness. And so the goal shouldn't be to run a marathon. The goal should be to become a runner, because when you become a runner, you run every day, and then when a marathon comes up, you can do a marathon, but you keep running afterwards. And so for me, my goal is not to achieve I have goals, I have benchmarks that I'm working towards, but my goal is to stick to my atomic habits. It's to stick to my workout habits. And through that, I've been able to achieve more with my strength and flexibility in the last 2 or 3 years than I had ever in my life before. And that's after slap tears. I had slap tears in my shoulders 14 months apart, 6 years ago and 5 years ago, or something like that. Like I went through this process sitting there with surgeons and doctors looking me in the eyes, telling me, oh, you'll never be able to do this, that, and the other again because you've completely stuffed your shoulders and you'll need to get surgery. So it's incredible what you can achieve if you apply this stuff that I'm talking about here. Max Pete is saying, you saved me. I've been stuck at the same flexibility for 3 months, always skipping the strength training because I didn't know the details about the nervous system. You deserve millions of subscribers. Thank you so much, Max. That's really kind of you. Ben Wright is saying how to balance effort and prior scheduled blocks after nights of or sleep insomnia. Go easier or reschedule. Look, that's a tough one. But there's it's not a short answer. There's not something that I can say, this is going to fix it for you, because, for me, I've gone through all these hurdles that I've overcome through techniques that I'm sharing with you guys. And the only thing I can really do is hope that you guys can hear some of the things that I'm saying and have some light globe moments to go, oh, wow, that is something that I can put into practice for myself. So I've got a video because I have been asked about, about sleep several times, that I've made a video on what I've done to be able to get better sleep, because sleep is, without a doubt, it's a cornerstone of what I've been able to achieve with my body and the way that I can stay, at around 10% body fat and build muscle at my age and, still be a high achiever. Like, without a good sleep routine, none of it's going to work. And so you basically have to reverse engineer your sleep. And if you watch that video, if you go to my channel, it's called How to Fall Asleep Fast, although I am going to change that name so it includes the word sleep in the title, because I didn't think about that when I titled it. But you basically reverse engineer your sleep. And so reverse engineering your sleep includes things like when you have your coffee, and I don't drink coffee anymore because of reverse engineering my sleep. I want my sleep to be so good that and caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours. So, you don't need to drink much coffee, and even early in the day, to still have it in your system when you go to sleep. And I don't want that. So, but when I was drinking coffee, I was having all my coffee before 9 a.m. so that, I would have the best chance of getting it out of my system by the time I go to sleep. Things like not using screens at all, at a minimum of 1 hour before you go to bed. Things like not doing anything in bed but sleep. So not laying in bed on your phone, not laying in bed reading a book, not laying in bed, maybe having some sexy time with your partner, or yourself, depending on if you've got a partner or not. But doing, basically setting bed as being the thing that is only for sleep. I actually learned that one from Atomic Habits. I'd never thought of that, but I already did it myself. I don't do anything in bed except sleep. So when I go into bed and I lay down, it's lights out and I go to bed. I don't sit in bed and do anything else. So the bed becomes associated with only sleep. And he talks about that in Atomic Habits. He talks about how somebody was able to overcome their insomnia by doing that. So if you read or if you use your phone or whatever else you do, you have different areas of the house where you do that. And so there's a lot of things that you can do, but that's what I'd be working on first. And then beyond that, balancing effort prior to, scheduled blocks after nights of sleep. you just have to do the best you can do. But in my personal experience, even times when I've been tired, I have still done a workout, or I've still done what I told myself that I was going to do, but you just match your effort with the energy levels that you have. So I don't recommend that anybody ever does a workout at really high intensity or really high effort when they're not feeling it. Those are the times when I've done my worst injuries. So if you go into a workout feeling suboptimal and you're sitting there, really struggling, then I certainly recommend that you do a reduced effort or a reduced intensity or a reduced volume workout, or a combination of all of them. But still do the workout, still do something that keeps the habit going, because it all compounds and it all snowballs into the things that you want to give you the results that you want. Singing Dancing Muscle Man is saying, you have very wise words. Scheduling every single activity is pretty much the key to not wasting time and thus achieving goals. Yeah, it really is. I just realized now when I look at my schedule, my schedule is so on autopilot for me now that I don't even really have to think about it. It just, because I've been doing it for so long, but I realized that I haven't actually written in here live stream. So I've got to change that. I've got to change that schedule, because I now do a live stream every day at 5:30 a.m. for you guys. So you've just made me realize that I have to do that. So yeah, it's this stuff works, guys. It really does. It makes a huge difference. Marin's saying, what is your magic trick for not wake up and ponder in the middle of the night? And Panther Black Audi is saying, looks like my Google Calendar. Awesome. That's really good. That's what we want. We want time blocking. Marin, my magic trick for that, this is again something that I've put a lot of practice into. It's mindfulness, because I wake up every night. I wake up, I've done a lot of looking into this. And one of my go-to sources for things like this is Andrew Huberman. I mean, Andrew Huberman is a professor of neurobiology at Stanford, which puts him, at the top of neurobiologists. He's obviously somebody who is very accomplished and very knowledgeable. And his podcast is wonderful because he really breaks down the science behind, a lot of things that we want to learn about. And he reckons that waking up between 2 and 4 times a night to go to the toilet is pretty normal. You shouldn't feel too worried about that. So I was really worried about that. And you know what? Been right, going back to other things that I do to help me sleep better. I stopped drinking liquid at about 5 p.m. Like I front load my water consumption in the day. So I try to drink a liter of water by 7 a.m. So I get up at 5 a.m. And so by the time that I go up to spend time with my family, I want to have drunk 1 liter of water. And then I try and drink another liter of water before 3 p.m. And that way I've had 2 liters of water. So that's definitely enough to keep me alive, and so that I'm not dehydrated, so that by the time I get to 3 and 4 p.m. I don't really need to drink anymore, and then maybe I'll just have a few sips. Anyway, but Marin, in the middle of the night when I wake up, I go through the same battles that everybody else goes through. And what I do is I have practiced mindfulness for years now by using the Waking Up app. And anybody who wants to really take control of their lives, I couldn't recommend this more. The Waking Up app by Sam Harris, which I have absolutely no affiliation with, so I have no link to share with you. I have no way that I can make money off this. I am sharing this purely because it is something that has done wonders for me. Really changed my life, because I always saw meditation as something that I couldn't do, something that whenever I tried to do, I just found myself lost in thought, and I thought that I was a complete failure. But Sam Harris I haven't found anybody that has his 2 different levels of education, where on one hand, I'm pretty sure he has a PhD in neurobiology. And if it's not neurobiology, it's psychology, or it's something to do with the study of the brain. I think it's neurobiology. But then on the other hand, he's studied Eastern meditation practices for over a decade. And he's gone to, like he's climbed the Mecca gone to India, gone to Tibet, gone to wherever to learn from the best of the best. And so when he takes you through these guided meditations that are only 10 minutes a day, they're 10-minute guided meditations, he does it in a way that I've never experienced before, where he makes you feel completely okay with whatever goes on in your head that would make you think you're a failure at meditating. And it's the only meditation app, it's the only meditation practice that I was able to stick to. And it teaches you mindfulness. And mindfulness is really the practice of just being present in what's going on right now and being able to be fully present without without anxiety about the future or without nostalgia or anything or stress about the past. And it's through that practice for on and off for years that I've been doing that I've been able to get myself back to sleep at nighttime, where when I sit there at night and my brain starts ticking over, I'm able to practice mindfulness and my body goes back to sleep. And I get much, much, much better sleep now. I'm much more rested when I wake up than I've ever been before because of all these things. And any of you guys that are struggling with this, I've made some videos that I consider to be really, really good that get fuck all views because for whatever reason they're not triggering the algorithm, or maybe it's just something that others aren't interested in. But there's a couple that I've made. One of them that's on sleep. There's this other one. I'll go to my channel and have a look. But what I did, I listened to a podcast with Chris Williamson and Dr. Joe Dispenza. And it was so inspiring to me that I went and I made this one here, 5 Powerful Tools to Rewire Your Brain for Health. And I've pretty much taken a portion of that podcast, that Dr. Joe Dispenza, where he's talking about neurobiology and he's talking about the way that you can rewire your brain. And I adapted it to be specifically related to health and fitness. And the information that's in that is life-changing, in my opinion. It truly is. That listening to that podcast for me was a massive breakthrough moment. It was a real aha moment. And it was, and I believe that the information that's in there can have the same impact for you. And then I've also got another video there, my 9-step workout formula for busy parents. And that's where I go through all of these things that I'm talking about, but I really break it down into 9 steps that you can implement to really be able to, take control of your busy schedule and change your life. There's some good resources on my channel if you guys haven't seen them yet. If you find that this stuff is inspiring you and you think that it's something that could help you. And when I do these live streams, of course, I'm just ad-libbing. I sort of come in with a basic concept of a topic. And I have to thank you guys, because when you comment and when you put questions up here, and when you put comments on, it gives me direction to talk about. And it is so much easier for me to give you guys any value if I have interaction. So thank you for interacting with me on this, because sometimes, like yesterday when I did a live stream, there weren't many people on it and nobody said a word. And I get to a point where the topic that I was going to talk about comes to an end and I can't think of anything else to say, and it just goes dead in the water. So thank you for commenting. Marin's saying, I got the meditation app you recommended. It's awesome. Just keep practicing it. It's like anything, Marin. You won't realize how far you've come with something until you can look back. And I've gone through times where I've been doing it every day for like 6 months. And then I've gone through times when I haven't done my meditation for a month or two. But I am definitely, because of the years that I've been doing that on and off, I am better at mindfulness. And I find myself at nighttime when I wake up and I have to go to the toilet, I don't sit there for hours anymore. I go back to sleep. And I don't know how quickly I go back to sleep, but it's pretty quickly. So I've definitely improved with it. And Marin's saying, did I use the wrong word? I mean thinking, like racing thoughts. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I understood what you meant. Same recommendation from my GP, no fluid after 8, and if so, sip, not gulp. 2 to 3 times a night here as well. Sometimes fall asleep on the can. I've never done that. I've never fallen asleep on the can. So that's a new one for me. And Marin's saying, okay, so I will use that at night too. Yep. And Marin's also saying, I have not meditated that often yet because I always get the 10,000 steps. Yeah, look, if you want to really, if you want to really change your mind, commit to doing that daily meditation daily. Get up 10 minutes earlier. I've always found the best time to meditate is first thing in the morning. And Dr. Joe Dispenza in that podcast, he actually goes into that because he talks about the different brainwave frequencies. So, there's the alpha brainwaves and the beta brainwaves and the gamma brainwaves. And I can't remember which frequency is he was referring to, but there's these brainwaves that you slowly go into when you fall asleep, when you come closer to sleep and when you fall asleep. And it's the brainwaves that they try to access when they're using hypnotism. So it's when it puts you into that suggestive state. And that's when you're in the most suggestive state, when your brain has the most opportunity to be malleable, to be pliable. And so he talks about that first 30 minutes in the morning being very deliberate and very intentional with what you do, and also the last 30 minutes at night when you're laying in bed at night and you're trying to fall asleep, what it is that you think about, because that is the time that your brain is the most pliable and that you're the most open to suggestion. And so meditating first thing in the morning when you've just woken up and maybe you've just gone to the toilet. For me, I would literally just wake up, have a protein shake, go to the toilet, and then come down and meditate. So I was meditating within 15 minutes of waking up. That's when you are the most receptive to meditation, and you have the most opportunity to really rewire and retrain your brain. And then at the same time, when you're laying down in bed trying to go to sleep, that's when you should really be consciously thinking about the things that you want to be doing more of. And, a good exercise is to take stock of what you did in a day that you are unhappy about, that you want to do better the next day, but also what you did in a day that you're happy about. So you do that when you're laying there and you're falling to sleep. You think about, well, this is what I did today, and that was really good. I got that 20-minute mobility routine done, and I did that meditation, and I didn't watch this, but I also did that. I went and I ate those Tim Tams, or I did this, or I blah blah blah, and that's a really good opportunity to be rewiring your brain and getting yourself ready for the next day. Panther Black is saying, thank you again. Don't let the low live watching now discourage you. I can feel your passion in all your content and your desire to help. You are speaking from the heart and a natural at this. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. I really do, because I'm telling you now, it's not peaches and cream when you're I guess a YouTuber like I am. When you do this stuff, you're just sitting there talking, and when you don't get interaction from people, sometimes you wonder whether it's worth your time or not. So your words mean the world to me. I really mean that. So thank you so much, guys. Max Pete is saying, when doing the strengthening training. Sorry, did you cut off there, Max? I'm going to wait and see what else you've got to say. And besides that, guys, I am going to wrap up now. So if anybody's got any last questions for me before I finish up. Oh, when doing strength training, do you need to get the protein in? You absolutely need to get protein in. Absolutely. So protein is the building block for everything, really. Everything is made out of protein. And so our muscle fibers, like when you do strength training, and you're basically sending a signal, like the whole purpose of strength training is to create a hormonal response in the body where the brain sends out all these hormones that are basically signals to say, let's get stronger, let's do this. And the protein is the building block for muscle fiber, for strength. So if you're not having enough protein, you will do all the work that you want in the gym and you will not build muscle, and you won't build the same amount of strength. So one of the biggest changes that happened for my brother and I both at different times is that we just started taking a protein shake, and we started to see a massive change in muscle mass and in strength. So protein is vital for the two supplements that I would recommend anyone to take if they want to get stronger and build muscle is creatine monohydrate. Don't take any other form of creatine. Take 5 milligrams a day. Don't worry about loading it. And take a protein powder. And my web page just went dead, and I don't know if I'm still live for you guys. So I'm just going to have a quick look and see if this is still working or not. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, because my website just looks like it's ended. No, I'm still here. Okay. I'm still here. So you definitely, you should have protein. And I recommend a protein supplement. That'll really, really help you. Singing Dancing Muscle Man is saying, one thing that has made a very big difference in getting good sleep is, I know this is kind of gross, keeping a pee jug in my bedroom. That way I don't have to go all the way to the toilet. Man, I respect it. When I was in the army over in East Timor and we were on deployment, we all did that. None of us want the shit that you have to do when you're in the army. If you think that's gross, that ain't anything. I've had to piss my pants when I was waiting in an ambush position, and I didn't actually ambush anybody. It was during training, but we were doing training to ambush, and you have to lay there until the enemy come, and that is anybody's guess how long it was going to be. And for us, it was 6.5 hours, and you cannot move or make a sound, and you basically just have to piss your own pants. And so I had to piss my pants and lay in my own piss until we did the ambush and I could get up and go away. And even then I still couldn't clean myself because we were out in the bush, and it was several days until we got back to civilization, where I got to have a shower and get in some new clothes. So there's a nice story for you. Join the army. It's really fun. Singing Dancing Muscle Man is saying, I can get up and pee right there and then get back to sleep. I respect it. And Maya El Sayad is saying hi from Egypt, and thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for saying hi. And Panther Black is saying, yep, you're live. Max Pete. So I should get the protein in while getting stronger in the end range flexibility. Look, end range strength training is not the same as strength training. Because end range strength training is you're really training your nervous system. You're not hypertrophying muscles as such. Loaded stretching, if you do eccentric loaded stretching, which, hopefully you are doing, and that's something that we teach people in our flexibility masterclass and in our online personal training, you are thickening the muscle fibers because you're getting eccentric load, and eccentric load is what creates the stimulus that creates the hypertrophy in muscle fibers. So protein will definitely help with that. But hopefully you're doing strength training as well, and you're not just doing flexibility training, and that would mean that you absolutely need protein. So yes. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened. The window that I look at, the window for live streaming where I'm looking at here and seeing all your comments, it all of a sudden just went blank and said, "Oh snap, you've lost connection." So I thought that meant that I've lost connection. All right, team, I'm going to head on upstairs and see my family. I'm going to stick to my schedule. I'm going to go upstairs and have some family time now, and then I'm going to come down and do my first training session for the day, my strength training. So let me know what you want me to talk about in future, in tomorrow's live stream. The best comments, the best questions, the thing that resonates with me the most that I think that I can get value from is what I will be talking about. And hey, if you didn't know this, we're actually running a 12-week, I should have said this earlier, we're running a 12-week strength and flexibility transformation at the moment for half price. So this week only, we can only take 10 people. We've already had 3 people sign up, so we've only got 7 spaces left, and we do that because the amount of work for me to onboard new members and get them up to speed and create their programs, we can only take 10 at one time. So if you want to get started with us, this is a really, really good opportunity to do it, and I'll put a link in the description of this video. I'll put a link in the comments now where you can go and have a look at this. I'll just do it right now. I'll bring it up so that you guys can go and have a look if you want to join, because if you're sitting on the fence and you're considering to come and work with me online and do online personal training, then this is a really really good way to get started. So let me grab the link here. Here it is. Put it in the chat. There it is. And have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for all the lovely comments and for the donations. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.